let us now look at the video tutorial on cloud security. Cloud security is one of the major concerns for all the vendors as well as the users of the cloud. In cloud, whenever your data is saved, stored, or when it is in transit, there are certain security concerns which most of the users or most of the enterprises which are using the cloud services have in their mind. Now, let me briefly tell you here about the different objectives that we are going to attain by the end of this particular video. We will explain the need for cloud security. We will discuss how to maintain data security and network security, and describe the related legal issues and compliances. Now, risk in cloud computing is a major factor. The cloud acts as a big black box, and nothing inside the cloud is visible to the client. So, the client has no idea or control over what is happening inside a particular cloud. The data which they are saving, the information that they are retrieving, they have absolutely no idea that who, how and when this data is getting handled. System admins are also one of the components who are maintaining the cloud, and sometimes it is possible as a security or perceived security threat that system admins may also tamper with the virtual machines, and they may violate the confidentiality and integrity of data. Cloud is also prone to traditional data confidentiality, integrity, availability and privacy issues, which are there in data centers and which are also there in the regular and normal IT infrastructures which are maintained by smaller organizations. Ultimately, a cloud is nothing but combination of servers, applications and operating system. So, every single threat which is there in any existing IT infrastructure is always going to be there in the cloud also. Now, if you look at this particular chart, it is the comparison of the perception of threat and also the respondents who are seeing cloud security as a major challenge. In this chart, if you look at it, the number of people or the percentage of people who are concerned about the cloud security from the perspective of security of the cloud are higher in year 2013. However, this perception has reduced considerably in the year 2014, be it a beginner, be it the users of the cloud, or be the people who are probably trying to go into the cloud. Now, this particular chart is depicting the major challenge which the cloud industry is facing. Now, risks perceived as major deterrent for adoptions are listed here. If you look at this particular table, the cloud beginners and cloud focused enterprises or organizations, security tops the list. There, one of the major concern is the security, and if you look at it, the beginners have 31%. However, this is considerably low in companies or organizations which are cloud focused. And if you look at it, compliance is a bigger threat for them as compared to the other threats which are there in them. Now, in this particular table, you can have a very distinct comparison between the threats which are perceived with relation to the cloud. The security threat goes down for the cloud focused enterprises. However, the security is of the prime concerns for the cloud beginners. Now, the major job that the cloud industry right now is doing is to remove this perception that your data in the cloud is not safe. They are trying to bring in the measures, they are trying to demonstrate the features, the security, etc., which is building up the confidence of the beginners with the cloud, so that they can come and join the cloud and they will be fearless in terms of storing or hosting their data over there. Now, primarily there are three reasons due to which the cloud security problem arises: loss of control, lack of trust, that means there are no proper mechanisms which the client is aware of to maintain the confidentiality and security of data, and multi-tenancy. Once again, when you look at the concept of multi-tenancy, it is where you have a single platform and you are sharing it amongst multiple companies. Now, everybody will have a concern whether their data is visible to another tenant in the same infrastructure or not. And these are, remember, these problems are not only on the perception, but they are real time also. These problems exist mainly when there is a third party which is managing the different cloud models. Normally, these security issues are not of great concern when the cloud infrastructure is private and it is owned and used by the same organization. Now, let me explain to you about the concept of data security. When we talk about data security, physical security denotes controlling physical access to the servers that support your infrastructure. While selecting a cloud provider, it is very important to understand the physical security protocols offered by the cloud provider. This includes maybe the cloud provider is offering a biometric check of users who are going inside. They have a system in place which actually monitors continuously people who are using who are entering into the premises. They have a very stringent rules in terms of the division of area where people can enter and any other physical measures that they have taken to control the access to the cloud location or to access the cloud building and where the servers are housed. In some of the organization that you have the data, the key data control challenges are that your data can be accessed on someone else's server. Since your data resides on somebody else's server, it is very much possible that you may start thinking that your data is accessible to anybody who has access to that particular server. Your cloud provider declares bankruptcy and ceases the operation. Now, as a result of that, your data which is residing on the cloud provider's servers or storage is inaccessible to you. This information is seized by the local authorities where the data centers were located. This is also one of the major threats because once the data is seized by the local authorities, you do not know what happens to this particular data. Second thing is that when you talk about a cloud security, it is very much possible that your cloud provider fails to secure portions of its resulting in the security breach. Now, what we are talking about here is that your data is actually prone to the security breach either via physical access or through the software access. It may be possible that the cloud provider has not taken into consideration different security measures that are there. So, these are the different challenges which are related to the data control. Since the data doesn't reside in your own infrastructure, your concerns are very much valid. Another area which is of concern is the data in transit. Normally, when the data is moving from one point to another over the wired network or through the satellite, or people are accessing data through various devices, they may be sitting at home, they are connected to an internet service provider. The confidentiality and integrity of this data can be in question. However, this threat can be mitigated by using the secured protocols such as HTTPS, or they may use certificate related authentication, etc. Confidentiality and non-secured protocols and encryption can also be one of the major challenges for the data in transit. When it comes to data at rest, the data which is residing in the databases or the data which is residing in the file system, encryption can be a good solution for that. And if at all this encryption is taken into account, the speed of the applications may reduce. However, this is still a very less troublesome compromise contrary to the data which is at rest and not encrypted. Indexing and searching can also be one of the areas of concern, because when we talk about enterprise data, it is searchable. And this data for faster searching is also indexed. And this data, when it is at rest, suppose the index files are available or the search engines are creating a crawler database and storing that data, this data at rest can also be one of the major security threats. Now, coming to the next area, the security of your network. ensuring the confidentiality and integrity of your organization's data in transit whenever it is transferred or it is transported between your public cloud provider and your organization. Ensuring proper access control to resources at your public cloud provider is also something very, very critical. Replacing the established model of network zones and tiers with the domains can be one of the standard ways in order to prevent any data which is in transit to be accessible to the outside users or to the hackers. Now, let us discuss a little bit about the cloud security control. When we talk about cloud security control, it primarily helps in addressing, evaluating and implementing security in the cloud. The Cloud Security Alliances or CSA has created some standard guidelines through the help of something called as CCM or Cloud Control Matrix, which is basically laying down the foundation as well as provides very standard ways in which the cloud data can be secured, and it acts as a guideline to the buyers of the cloud to evaluate the cloud solutions overall security. Let me talk to you about the different types of security controls which are used in cloud. One is the deterrent controls. They serve as a warning to a potential penetration into your system, and also they also give you a warning about the perpetrator of the attack. There are preventive controls which try to protect your cloud against the vulnerabilities, and these preventive controls can help a lot in terms of identifying and sensing an attack is coming against a particular type of vulnerability and can raise alarms. Corrective controls which can help reduce the after effects of an attack. Now, these after effects could be further spread of the attack into the cloud. These after effects which can be prevented by corrective controls is the spread of any virus or any malicious software, and also they can provide kind of a sanitization to the existing systems which are not affected by this by the means of corrective controls. Here there are detective controls which can be used to detect an attack. They are somewhat like preventive controls, but they do not prevent anything. They can simply detect whatever they identify as a potential threat and can raise alarm or send warnings to the respective administrators. Coming to something called as web service security, or in short form it is termed as WS security. Web service security provides integrity, confidentiality and authentication of data which is in transit, which is done via a very standard way nowadays called as SOAP messages or SOAP messages. When you talk about a SOAP message, it consists of a header. SOAP primarily stands for Simple Object Application Protocol, and in this one, when we look into the SOAP messages, the SOAP has a header, and that header has a security related information, and this particular information is going to define how the existing XML like XML signatures and XML encryption are applied to the message which follows the header. Now, this is one of the very easy way by which it is possible for organizations which are providing data over the through the web services to prevent security threats as well as prevent any kind of security intrusion. However, please remember one thing, that none of the systems in the world are fully secured at any given point of time. Even if you call it as 99.99%, still there is a chance that some hacker or some kind of a vulnerability in the system can be exploited to get access to your data. Now, coming to the XML, which has become a standard for communication of information or exchange of information over the web, is highly, I would say, prized model for the hackers to get into and retrieve the data from there. However, there are mechanisms, as I am mentioning here, to prevent this kind of hacking. Now, how does this WS security actually operates? The encryption of the XML allows the XML fragment to be encrypted to ensure the data confidentiality. Now, this particular encrypted fragment of the XML message or XML data is replaced by an encrypted data element containing the ciphered information of that particular fragment. XML signatures allow the XML fragment to be digitally signed to ensure integrity and integrity to prove the authenticity of the information. Now, let me tell you about the signing process of the WS security. When we have a data which is sent across by means of XML format, for every message part to be signed, a reference element is created and this message part is canonicalized and hashed. As you can see in this particular slide, the reference is created as a URI. URI is a name given to a particular component in XML. Secondly, the resulting digest is added into the digest value element and a reference to the signed message part is entered into the URI attribute. Subsequently, the signed info element is canonicalized and signed. Now, the result of signing operation is placed in a special element of the XML body called as signature value, and then this signature element is added to the security header. XML signature attack can be of different types. Let me help you understand with the help of this hierarchical diagram of a SOAP body. You have a SOAP envelope, you have SOAP header on the left hand side, you have security, you have signature info and reference. The reference is pointing to the URI identifiable as the body component. On the right hand side, if you look at it, the SOAP body actually consists of an identifier called as body, and this has a specific element called as, or this has probably got a specific element called as get file, which is named as me.jpg. Now, this particular structure which you are observing here is showing that there is a file called as me.jpg which needs to be brought in. Now, how this particular SOAP body can be compromised and what exactly a hacker or a malicious code can do to it. In this one, if you look at it, we have the same infrastructure. However, there is a additional wrapper which is added along with the SOAP body, and there is a in the SOAP body, if you look at it, there is something called as body and me.jpg which is still existing. But what the hacker has done is that it has added an additional identifier in the existing SOAP body called as bogus, and it has also asked the SOAP component to obtain a file called as cv.doc, and this information has been attached with the get file. Now, this type of attack is called as XML signature attack. As a result of this attack, this particular file called as cv.doc can also be obtained from the existing source wherever this information travels in the XML format. Now, let me quickly summarize what all we have covered in this cloud security video. Here, we have seen that the cloud is also prone to the traditional data confidentiality, integrity, availability and privacy issue. The companies face data security challenges with data in transit, data at rest and during the data processing. The network security requires ensuring proper access control to the resources of your public cloud provider. Cloud control matrix is aimed to help prospective cloud buyers evaluate the cloud solutions against the security which is provided by the cloud provider. And WS security defines how an existing XML security standard like XML signature and XML encryption are applied to the SOAP messages.